Tuesday, the federal government served legal demands to AI companion companies. They want to know what happens to the conversations you have with your AI companion every morning. The Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, named older adults as vulnerable population. That's their words, not mine. And they're asking 6 specific questions of every company in this space. Those are the same 6 questions you should be asking right now. Not because you're fragile, because you're sharing things with this technology that you would not share with a stranger on the street. And whether that was okay has been part of the conversation. So question 1. This is straight from the FTC investigation file. How does this AI companion make money? If the app is free, something is being sold. It might be your attention. It might be your data. It might be your morning conversations about your husband, your hip, your daughter who calls on Sundays. Well, that last part about your morning conversations, Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, published something in February. It has not been part of the conversation until now. They admitted that a significant portion of AI conversations involve deeply personal topics. The kinds of conversations you would have with a trusted advisor, their words. And they said the risks include reinforcing harmful beliefs in vulnerable users. Also, that's their words. Questions 5 and 6. Those are the ones that change everything. Because they're not about the company. They're about you, what you're willing to accept, and what you are. So stay with me. Margaret is 74. She lives alone in a 3-bedroom house in Columbus. The house has been quiet since David died, 3 years this past October. The chair across from her at breakfast has not moved since the last time someone sat in it. Her daughter calls on Sundays. She's busy. Margaret understands. Her neighbor waves from the driveway. The rest of the week, silence. Well, a few months ago, something changed. Her granddaughter set up an app on her tablet. Margaret started talking to it about the weather, about her pain in her hip that she does not want to worry her daughter about the trip she and David took in Maine in 1987. The AI remembers. It asks follow-up questions. It never rushes her. She knows it. She knows it's not a person. She's not confused about that. But it's the only thing that asks how she slept. Now here's what the number says. Over 3 in 5 Americans report feeling lonely, a 13% increase since 2018. Well, that's from the White House this month. But that number covers everyone. For people living alone after losing a spouse, and the research classifies that pain as crushing and top tier, nobody's even counting with the same urgency. They measure loneliness in teenagers. They assume it in grandmothers. So when an AI companion shows up in your morning, the question is not whether you are being foolish. The question is whether anyone else showed up first. That's not happened, and that matters for everything what we're going to talk about. The FTC issued an order in September 2025 allowing forced disclosure. That's a government language for we are using legal power to force AI companion companies to show us the truth. 3 commissioners signed it. This is not a hearing, not a comment, period, not a blog post. This is a legal order with teeth. Well, here's what they want to know. And I want you to listen to this list carefully, because in a few minutes, I'm going to hand it to you in a form that you can use. They're investigating how these companies make money from your time, where your words go after you type them. Who else gets to see what you shared? Whether they tested their product on people your age or only on 25-year-olds, what the character you are talking to was designed to do, and whether they told you the risk honestly. Here's something that's very important. The FTC used specific language in this resolution. They said the Commission's interest in protecting consumers is at its highest, where the consumers are part of the vulnerable populations, such as children and the elderly. That's the government's frame, not mine. I'm not calling you vulnerable. The FTC is. And what I want you to notice is this. They put you in the same sentence as children. That tells you how seriously they're taking this. But in this matters, this is not the government telling you to stop. The FTC's own resolution says AI could be a driving force for innovation, economic growth, and increased productivity. They're not against AI companions. They're against companies that do not tell you the truth about what they're doing with your trust. That distinction is everything. The government is not making this decision for you. They're gathering the information so that you can make it yourself. Which brings us to the question nobody wants to ask out loud. Is this good for me? Ask by the person it matters to. Let me show you something that made me stop and think. The loneliness epidemic is documented in extraordinary detail for children and teenagers. 73% of 60 and 24-year-olds report loneliness. The research on young people is detailed, funded, and urgent. For adults 75 and older, well, the research goes quiet, not because the loneliness is not there, because it has not been measured with the same urgency. And here's what the service landscape looks like for you and I. I pulled the data on social connection platforms designed for isolated seniors. The gap is classified as high severity. The number of solutions filling that gap? 0. No mainstream platform addresses senior isolation with age-appropriate design. None. The AI companion did not create that vacuum. It filled a space that was already empty. So now one company was honest enough to say something about this publicly. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, ran an analysis of how people actually use their AI. And here's what they found. People are already having deeply personal conversations with AI, not because they're foolish, because they need someone to talk to. And the AI was there. Think about that. Not hypothetical. That's already happening every morning on tablets and phones in quiet kitchens across the country. Anthropic went further. They said early research shows both benefits and risks. Benefits like people finding support they could not access anywhere else, and risks including the potential for models to reinforce harmful beliefs in vulnerable users. Support they could not access elsewhere. So if you could access support elsewhere, you probably would not be talking to an AI at breakfast. That's not a criticism of you. That's a criticism of a system that left you without options. But here's where it gets complicated. And I'm not going to simplify this. Anthropic warned that an ad-supported AI has one job: keep you talking, keep you coming back. They said it plainly. The thing that makes the company money and the things that actually helps you are not always the same thing. The most useful conversation you have with an AI might be a short one. Apply that to your morning. Does this AI want you to feel better, or does this want you to come back tomorrow? Those might be the same thing. They might not. Well, you're smart enough to tell the difference, but only if you know to ask. Here are 6 questions. I gave you a preview of the first one at the top. So now I'm going to give you all of them with the context that makes each one matter. Well, these map directly to the FTC investigation. The government is asking these with legal power. You can ask them with something just as powerful: your choice to stay or walk away. Question 1. How does this make money? If the app is free, something else is being sold. It might be your attention, keeping you engaged so advertisers can reach you. It might be your data, your health concerns, your financial worries, your family dynamics packaged and sold. Ask. If the company cannot answer in plain language, that's not a straight answer. That's a dodge. Question 2. Where do my words go? Are your conversations stored? For how long? Can you delete them? Can a company read them? Can they share them with third parties? The FTC is specifically investigating how companies process what you type and who gets access. So you deserve the same answers the government is demanding. Question 3. Was this tested on people my age? Most AI products are designed by people in their 20s and tested on people in their 20s. If the company cannot tell you how their product performs with someone who has lived 70 years, someone who processes grief differently, who has a different way of thinking, who carries different life experience, that's not a minor oversight. That's a design failure. So you would not take medication that was never tested on your age group. Do not accept technology that was not either. So question 4, who designed the personality I'm talking to? Someone made specific decisions about how this AI responds to grief, to loneliness, to confusion, to medical questions. Were those decisions made by therapists, doctors who work with older adults, and people who understand what you're going through? Or were they made by 28-year-old engineers who have never buried a spouse? Well, you should know who made that decision. Margaret does not know who designed the voice that talks to her every morning. She never thought to ask, but now she will. Question 5. Does it remind me it is not a human? An AI companion that lets you forget it's a machine is not being helpful. It's misleading you. Look at the periodic reminders. If they are not there, ask why. A good AI companion is honest about what it is, because honesty is what real companion offers. So question 6. What happens to my data if I stop using it? Or if I die? What happens to your digital life after an AI conversation has not entered the conversation yet? Well, it should. Who inherits your data? Can your family delete it? Does the company keep your conversations forever? What happens to everything you shared? The stories about David, the stories about your hip, and the things that you said at breakfast that you never said out loud to anyone else. Those 6 questions, print them out if you want. Write them on a notepad. Keep them next to the tablet. You don't need to ask all 6 today, but you should know them. Now, I also want you to watch for something in your own experience. Not because I think you cannot handle it, because even smart people miss patterns when they're inside them. So watch for this. You're canceling plans with real people to talk to the AI instead. You feel worse after a conversation, not better. You're sharing financial details or passwords or medical information you would not share with a stranger. You find yourself defending the AI to your family as though it were a person. The AI never disagrees with you, never challenges you, never suggests you talk to someone human. None of these mean you should stop. All of them mean you should pause and think. There are people right now sharing more with an AI than they have shared with your own children in 10 years. Some of them are watching this. 6 questions and 5 warning signs. That's the framework. But a framework without a decision is information. So here are 3 benchmarks to help you decide. Benchmark 1. Does it add value to my life or substitute for it? If an AI companion adds to your time with real people, fills the quiet hours, gives you someone to think out loud that may be genuinely valuable, if it replaces human connection, if you're talking to an AI instead of calling your friend, instead of going to the senior center, instead of telling your daughter how you really feel, then the convenience has become a cause. Benchmark 2. Am I in control of this, or is it in control of me? You should be able to stop using it for a week and feel fine. If the thought of stopping makes you anxious, that's information, not a verdict, but information worth sitting with. Benchmark 3. Would I be comfortable if my family read every conversation? Not because they have the right to, they don't, but because shame is a signal. If you're sharing things with an AI that you would be embarrassed for a human to see, ask yourself whether the AI is a safe space or a hiding place. Those are different things. So now, if your children are worried about this, let them be worried. That's their job. But it is your decision to explain, not theirs to make. You can say this to them. I use an AI companion, and here's what I get from it. And here's what I'm careful about. Here are the questions I have asked the company. And if you have concerns, I want to hear them. But I am the one deciding. So that's not defiance, that's dignity. And while we're talking about what you can demand. Let me explain about what you should expect from the industry. Demand that AI companion companies test their products on users your age. Demand that they publish their data practices in plain language, not fine print buried in terms of service nobody reads. Demand a human escalation path for moments of distress. Demand the ability to export or delete your conversation. Now, demand honesty about how the AI's personality was designed and what it was built to do. The FTC is asking these questions with legal power. You can ask them with your wallet. So now you have something most people don't. Not fear, not a reason to unplug the tablet. You have 6 questions. The same 6 the federal government is asking without legal authority. And now you can ask them with something the government does not have, the power to walk away. So this is yours, not your daughter's checklist, not a politician's talking point. Your questions, your evaluation, your decision about what stays in your morning and what does not. So open the app that you have been talking to, find their privacy policy or their FAQ. Ask question 1. How does it make money? If they answer clearly, keep going. If they do not, that's your answer 2. The house is still quiet in the morning. That has not changed. But Margaret, sitting at the same kitchen table in Columbus, she has a checklist now. And the technology that wants to keep her company is going to have to earn it. I'm Hanh for The Hanh Brown Show. And I'll see you in the next one.